Alright, our next toolkit entry is going to be called Rhombus and Trapezoid Properties. So once again, you're going to have the top half of your paper be about one figure and the bottom half be about the other. So let's have the top half be about rhombuses, or rhombi, excuse me there. And so let's go ahead and first write down the definition of what a rhombus is. And what is a rhombus? It's a quadrilateral with four congruent sides. And here's a picture of what it would look like over here. So go ahead and draw that picture. If we know it's a rhombus, here's four things that we also know about it that we are going to be able to prove in class. Number one, the opposite sides are parallel. So for instance, if we have this side and this side, these sides are going to be parallel. Likewise, these two sides are going to be parallel as well, the one on the left and on the right. So that's one thing we definitely know about a rhombus. Next up, we know that the two diagonals bisect each other. So let me go ahead and draw these diagonals in once again. So diagonal number one is going to be right here, going from the top left to the bottom right. We're going to have the other diagonal will be from the bottom left to the top right. So those are our two diagonals here. And like it says, the two diagonals bisect each other. So this is true also for parallelograms and kites. So this blue diagonal bisects the red one in half so that these two line segments here are equal in length. We also know that the two diagonals are perpendicular. May not look like it, but these angles are going to be perpendicular to each other as well. And finally, last but not least, we know the diagonals bisect the angles of the rhombus. So, erasing some of these marks I've made here, this diagonal right here would bisect this angle in half. So these two angles right here would be equal in length. Also, I'm sorry, equal in measure, not equal in length. And then these two angles up over here would be the same in measurement as well. They would be congruent. So that's what we know about a rhombus. The second half of your paper is going to be about trapezoids. There's really three different types of trapezoids. We've really only spoken in class about the trapezoid, and so there's a picture of what that would look like over here. It's a quadrilateral with at least one pair of parallel sides. So typically you'll see something like this. The top and the bottom, these two sides are parallel to each other. We have a couple other types here that are special types of trapezoids. First of all, we have a right trapezoid. That's a trapezoid with two consecutive right angles. And so it would look like this, and although it doesn't look like in the picture, I could draw these markings, for instance, in here, and that would make it a right trapezoid because these would be right angles, even though they don't look like it. If we mark it, they would be. Also, an isosceles trapezoid would be a trapezoid with a pair of congruent base angles. So for instance, once again, here's our trapezoid. It would mean this angle and this angle. If these two angles are the same in measurement, that means we could call this an isosceles trapezoid. And what does isosceles mean? Well, it means that we'd also have two sides that are equal in length. So this side and this side would be equal in length as well. So here's a couple things about trapezoids. And once again, we will be proving these in class. Number one, if a quadrilateral has two consecutive right angles, it's called a trapezoid. So let's say I had this quadrilateral over here, and I said that this angle and this angle are right angles, and that's all I knew, nothing more, nothing less. If that were true, what I know then is that this is going to be a trapezoid, and in fact, the bottom and the top sides are going to be parallel to each other. So that's one thing I know. If I have two consecutive right angles and it's a quadrilateral, I know it's going to be a trapezoid. Also, if I know a trapezoid is isosceles, here and here, these two angles, let's say, are the same, it means it has a pair of opposite equal sides. So once again, this side and this side will be equal in length. So that's what you need to know about trapezoids and also rhombi.